today, and we know that you're here today, and we love to hear from you, and we're going to hear from you today. And so thank you for sharing today. We really love that. And Dr. Ray, we are here today, and God has blessed you tremendously. You are well respected, and last week I was tremendously blessed and graced to be at your feet and learning at your feet, so to speak. Thank you again for just being an amazing source that helps us along this journey of relationships. And so, yes, RPT, we invite you to come back here. We are here every single Sabbath. We are here, and every day of the week except Thursday, we have something going on here for you. And so we're glad that you were able to come on. Please come on back. And once you've come here the first time, you are part of us. We're glad to have you today.
Well, that's an amazing welcome. Is a link the same all the time so that people will know?
Yes, it is. It is the same. And once you've had the flyer, if you have any flyer, you can share any flyer, and they'll come on once they've got a flyer, even if you didn't have a new one. The links are the same. You know, the password is always the same. You know, the ID is always the same. So we're just happy that to have you come on if you're here today. And oh my goodness, we're so glad to have you. You made us look better because you are one of the roses in our garden. Thank you for being here today.
And guys, he's talking about all of you.
Yes, yes,
like I said,
and definitely you as well. But everyone who's here, and you know, today, you know, you are just know that you have made our garden so much better because your petals are shining really bright out.
Absolutely. Now, do we have our music on? Do we have? I know that Pastor Ernie was the one that would usually put music. Can we have some music on from whoever's in charge? I heard that Ajay was.
Yes, we have music, Ajay.
Oh, okay, so we're ready for some music. Thank you so much.
Brighten the corner where you are. 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 Where you are, 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 where you are. Kakambe koneni apukona, kakambe koneni apukona, kakambe koneni apukona, kakambe koneni apukona, 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 apukona.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Wow. That was indeed beautiful. That was indeed beautiful. Yes, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And so today, Dr. Ware, we are here, and today, I wonder if it is okay. I mean, how might you want me to refer to you this evening?
Thank you for asking, because I was just going to tell you, you can drop that doctor. Yvette is just fine. Thank you so much for asking.
Well, it's so good to talk with you, Yvette, today, and to be here. It's an honor for me to be here. And And we're talking about relationships today. We're continuing that beautiful topic today of talking about relationships and learning more about that. And one of the things that we want to touch on this evening, you're having a great relationship, you know, you're having an amazing relationship with your spouse. You know, what must we do to make that, or to keep it great, or if it's good, what can we do to make it great? And so would like to talk about that today. And everyone on the platform, if you're here right now, I believe that this evening would not be a lecture. And so we're inviting you to share with us, you know, even your experiences about your own journey through relationships. And so as we talk about this right now, Dr. Yvette, you're going to help me here because I from a I've been couched in a place where you kind of remember titles, and it's really important. That's where I operate from. And so help me today, because I had a hard time at one point recognizing that I could call professionals by their first name, because where I came from, you cannot do that. It doesn't always fly well. And so it's so good that we can do that this evening. And so Yvette, we're talking today. I'm wondering if you have a lot of ideas, but would you want to share with us today, or perhaps we can just start off with that? How can we make good relationships great?
Well, I think that's a pretty general, pretty broad. If you're able to narrow that down, or I think what we have to do is find those relationships first. And so I don't know who is in a committed relationship already or married versus who is not. I suspect that there are more not than are. And so, but I could be off. So if you're married, just go ahead, type that in the chat. So I know, so we have some idea. Matthew, you might know your tribe more so than I do. I don't know anyone here, but I think maybe one of the ways to start might be just either, where are we finding, or why we're not finding each other, right? We are not finding each other. So it's hard to even say how to make something great when we haven't found each other to begin with.
So, yeah, and that is so amazing that you brought this up. I know that I have been married myself, and we recognize from very early that this requires continuous intentional work, right?
Oh,
so
sure.
we recognize that every day there's never a time when all that we are is known to anyone, because we're not just what we were or what we are today. We also what we're becoming, and sometimes new aspects of our lives and of how we tend to respond to things kind of show up when new circumstances show up. And so we're kind of in this space where we're constantly intentionally learning each other and continuing to serve each other and to make each other the space and the room so that they can meaning together and continue to do that. That is so powerful for us to do that. And so, I know that it's a journey to get there.
So that is so true. And you said that you've been in a relationship. Your internet is cutting off a little bit, so it's not continuous, but you've been married. I do get that. How long have you been married?
Yeah, we've been married 8 years now. My wife and I have been married for 8 years, and I've been having internet issues all day. I'm sorry for that. It's been an issue all day long. It's been breaking, and I was hoping it was going to be resolved, but maybe my internet is under the storm as well, and it's reacting to that. I don't know. Maybe it's just cold. I need to get hot. Maybe I need to get a heater that would help my internet to get with the times. But yeah, so we've been married 8 years now, and it's interesting how we met. I went to St. Lucia, and while speaking, I spoke at her church, and she saw me there, and then I came back to the U.S. and we've after speaking for a while long distance, we decided to start a relationship, and boy, did things explode from there. And
you said you saw her at church, so and then you jumped to a long distance relationship. So who initiated it?
Well, we didn't. I saw her at church because she was one of the leaders there at the time. So I met her just briefly, and of course, she stayed in my memory. It was registered in my memory.
Right. Samantha
and
who approached who? Who approached who?
Right.
So.
Well, the story is when I went back there, actually, after the message, I went to Grenada, and then I got back to St. Lucia, and we had tea together, and I thought that there was some conspiracy with the people who made the tea and her. So there was no turning back after that. But even then, we did not decide to just we were meeting as leaders in the church. And as we grew, it talked a lot more. We shared a lot more, recognized we had a lot of things in common. And we just talked about life. And of course, I think after a while, it just became natural that we were going to be in a relationship, and we talked. And eventually, I think we were already there before we asked each other to be there. And so it just happened. It just happened because it was so natural.
The question is asked, were you looking for a wife at that time?
No, I wasn't. I definitely wasn't. In fact, I was on, in a situation where I needed to deal with me. And because I was coming off some things where I had to get to know me in a different way. Because there are things about me that showed up in a previous relationship that I kind of needed to take a look at that I didn't see before. And so it was it was in my growth period that we connected, and I think God was making a statement to me in a sense that I don't have to be perfect before I could have a great relationship. I just need to be growing.
Nice, nice. So I'm going to throw the ball out to the field, and you guys out there are 37 people on, so we're 2, so there are 35 people. I'm throwing the ball out to the field. Either, what do you think about his comments? He found somebody, but he wasn't even looking. Lucky her, or blessed him. Or do you agree with my initial statement, ladies and guys, that is difficult? It's difficult out there to find someone. Ball is out in the field.
First, I think that I'm pretty much not an example, but I could tell someone, a younger person, someone who really wants to find a spouse, just don't go looking. I pray, fast about it, and ask God to send the right person that He has created for you, because everyone has someone out there. And if you ask God, He will send the right person into your life. But when you go shuffling and looking, a person will come up with what they think that you want, and then it will turn out to be wrong. So fast about it, pray about it, and stay focused on God. Put God first in your life. And don't go looking, because God will send it right beside you, the perfect person that God intended for you to have.
Thank you for that, Melver. Is there anyone else who wants to share or amplify her message, or to share anything different?
Yeah, I have a message. I have a question.
Uh-huh.
What if someone in your life, you're actually involved with 2 different women, and you're not sure which way to go. So you pray about it and you believe that God will give you the correct answer. But somewhere along the line that may not have been the right answer. Maybe you might have misunderstood what God was telling you,
Hmm.
and then you go with the other woman and found out that you should have went the other direction. How do you amend that situation?
What do you mean by mend? Because
Because
yeah,
the other,
what do you mean by mending?
well, you choose to go with the other woman and marry that other woman, and the other woman that you were involved with also is left out there trying to figure out what you did, what happened. Eventually, your situation you were in, or you're no longer in that lifestyle. But how you fix the past that you can't fix the past? How do you mend that situation?
Balls out,
So,
balls out in the field.
mhm.
You
Or
can't fix your past. You cannot fix your past. You can just move to the future, and you can just, the person who meets you will accept you for who loves you will accept you for your past, your present, and your future. You're not gonna go digging up your past and go, because you put it to God and you leave it behind you. But a person who really loves you don't care anything about your past. They're interested in you and the better you that you have become. So don't worry about your past. Move on to your future, and a person who really loves you not gonna be questioning you about your past.
I almost feel, Melvar, though, what he's saying is he or the hypothetical situation is regrets. I feel like that's what he's saying. And then maybe how can he make amends for that? And it's almost like you just made your bed and you know what we have to do with it, you know?
Right.
What did,
Right.
you know, I really, you know, I would say, well, work, because as Matthew said, if you work on a relationship, you will see results. So whatever you're missing about, or whatever someone is missing about the person before, that's no longer an option. So the best option now is to work on your yard, work in your garden, work to build it to maybe what the previous person might have been.
And also, Yvette, it might be interesting to know that sometimes, you know, after you got married, you know, you begin to see things and experience a person differently. And so it's not necessarily true that if you'd gone the other way, you would have a as well. We just don't know that to be so, because it seems to me, from what was shared, and I think it was Tony who was sharing, that it didn't seem as though when the choice was made, it was going to be a bad choice or the wrong choice or a choice that wouldn't work very well. And otherwise it wouldn't be made. So it seems to me that after the commitment to marriage happened, there was a change in the relationship. And so, Tony, I don't know if you're there and if you want to share a little bit more about that, if I'm kind of hearing you well.
I'm still here. And yes, you're right.
And so, okay.
There was a change in the relationship.
Well, I think a lot of times people will say you never really know a person until you live with them. I don't know if you would agree with that. I don't think that means that as Adventist singles, we should try before we buy. But as Matthew says, there are going to be things that you really, really know. The last 10% of the person that you, this is how you wake up in the morning. Oh, this is what you look like in the evening, and so on and so forth. You're really not going to know until you actually live with them. But you've already made your bed. So you just have to, you know, you just have to work in your garden. That's what I would say.
Right. Yeah, you know, and unless the issue is something that seems you're just stuck and you can't, get past it, or there isn't a clear path forward. In most situations, if you have the right, kind of context for approaching that stuck place, we can get past it, and that requires work. Something was very strong, and I'd like to hear from everyone else on here. Just because it seems to me that, and Tony, I'm thank you for sharing that. It seems to me that there was at least a time when there was two choices in the picture, actively in the picture, and that's from that scenario that you shared. And I'd like to know about what others are thinking about being in that position where you are carrying two persons along to the point of a choice.
All right, I'm going to interject. Hello, I'm Samantha.
Hi, Samantha.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, all right. So, what's the name of the person? Is it Melver?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about experience, my experience a little bit. When it comes to dating, to me, there's two types of dating. There's the world standard of dating, and there's God's way of dating. Auntie Ellen, tell us the right way to date. Hey, if this person saw two women that he liked, I don't know how intimate he was with both of them, which if he did, I'm not judging, he should not have been, in order to make right decision. I was just reading this here from Proverbs 27, verse 12. A prudent man sees evil and hides himself and avoid it, but a naive person continue on and are punished and then, suffer by the choices that you make. What I'm trying to say is I don't know how intimate he was with these two women. That's the mistake we all make when it comes to the dating game, which is the world standard of dating. When I look at Isaac, when he found a wife, I think you have to be spiritually grounded with Christ. You got to know what you want. It all stems from a relationship with Christ, and by you praying and asking God for a wife. Even if 2 or 3 of them come towards you, you got to sort it out and make sure that woman has a heart of God and she's going to steer you the right way. Same thing as women, same thing for women. We have to choose wisely. We have to have a relationship with our Father. We pray, we tell him our desires, and hey, could be 5 guys that like us. That doesn't mean it's wrong in my perspective to go out with those 5 guys to see, be friends, just be friends, hang out, go eat, get to know each other. Nothing intimate. Keep that out. Do not get deeply involved mentally. You're just getting to know the person. And you continue asking God to please, Lord, which one? It might be none. It might be 1 out of the 5. You have to take these things very, very carefully. You have to ask God for wisdom. Otherwise, honey, you will mess up your life. You'll be miserable.
Yeah.
Well said, Samantha. Well said. Anyone else that wants to add to that?
I was hoping to see if there was any way to overcome like rejection and or the fear of being rejected in the relationship.
So that I think that's a great question, Matthew, that maybe you speak to even first, because I think that men would kind of suffer that a little bit more. And I don't know if then it becomes a vicious cycle of, approaching a woman or 2 or 3, not getting any headway. And then it's like, okay, I'm just going to back off, because we, the women, we're not normally going to approach the men, correct? Most of the time, the men are approaching us. So, to Daniel, his question is is a good tangential question as well, as in, how do you deal with rejection if it happens, and approaching women, but either not getting through, and is rejection the worst thing anyway? Let's just start with that. Is that the worst thing? Especially from a Christian perspective,
Absolutely.
because maybe that might be God's closing a door there.
Right. So I think, yes, Dan, this is an amazing question as well. You know, there's a general consensus, thought that men are, you know, rolling stones that God has no moss, right? And so, because real men cry, that might mean don't cry in public. I love me a good cry. I think I'm real. And so men get hurt in the process, not just women who get hurt. And just because we may, you know, put on a persona that suggests that we're toughing it up and moving on, we're unimpacted by it. We are. And so the one thing about hurt is that it helps, it makes us more cautious the next time. We have difficulty trusting. And I don't know any man who just wants to be rejected. And so I feel very strong. In my own journey, I've had to deal with rejection very early. I remember there was a time when I didn't feel like I wanted to, I didn't have that much confidence after being hurt. You know, in a previous relationship, you know, was quite just out of high school, and I was hurt. And I believe there are a few amazing suitors that I look back, and when we talked, we discovered that there was interest there, but, you know, I didn't have the confidence anymore to engage. And, you know, I am not regretting, because I have an amazing wife, but I do know that had I not met my wife, I look back at those times and recognize, oh my, I just needed to have some confidence to recognize that being rejection never kills anybody.
Yeah.
So
Yes, Sharon, what are your thoughts, Sharon?
I would just like to say that men's egos can be very fragile.
Yes.
And one of the questions we hear from women quite a bit these days is, why is it that men no longer approach women? Yes. And one of the answers that we're finding is that with the increase in online dating, a guy can swipe right or left, and if he's rejected, there's no one around to see, right? So we find that men are choosing that way rather than taking the steps to walk up to a woman in a crowd and risk the embarrassment of perhaps being rejected in front of others. So we find that, yes, the ego is an issue here.
Well, I think if I were a man, that would build muscle. That would build emotional muscle. And I want a woman, another woman, to speak to the fact that we have been rejected. Okay. So while the man might say, I've been rejected when I approach a woman, how many people have we been interested in? And we might have put some cues out there subtly or not so subtly. And then it's just like they ghost us. Somebody speak to me. Somebody speak to me. Who's been ghosted in the last 3 months? All right, y'all not going out on dates now, huh?
No. Sensitive topic. Sensitive topic.
Well, okay, who's been rejected or ghosted in the last 12 months?
I just want to say, you could be in a marriage and you've been rejected. You stay in it for a while, and then one day you decide, hey, I'm done with this. I'm better than this. This is not working out. Goodbye. So those are avenues you can take. You shouldn't be unhappy with someone who's not, working towards your standards or serving God, all those things.
I hear you, Sister Andrea. I hear you. I hear you. Anyone else?
Yeah, you know, and that's powerful here. That's powerful here in the sense that I think at some point we just want to be real about this and recognize that, you know, I know sometimes there is a tendency to attribute some level of shame or some level of, you know, there's hurt involved. You know, I get the sense that thing out that I encourage people now to understand that rejection is not necessarily a definition of one's worth. It's only defines another person's choice, and so we want to be sure about that. And I didn't. It took me a long time to get there, where I could see that. And I, you know, praise God, I didn't miss it on everything because I got the best one that was for me.
Yes.
And so that's amazing. But I feel like even here, and I know someone said this is a very sensitive topic, and that's exactly why we're having it.
Yes. Yes.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, I wouldn't say I reject a person because I personally, at my age, I think, just like I'm a grandmother, I don't want to deal with their children, and I have valid reason. So, although he's a lovely person, I don't want to deal with his growing children because two of them is very, very rude. So I am not going, I don't want to deal with nobody's children. I don't want nobody to argue with me. I'm too old for that. So sometimes you reject people, not because you don't love them, you reject them because it's an extended family and I don't want to put up with that nonsense. Also, I have an associate of mine. She was engaged twice. She's a woman of God. She doesn't believe in compromise. And she didn't directly reject the guy, but in a sense, she rejected him because he wants to sleep with her before marriage. She said, absolutely not. She said, God is a holy God. Is a holiness or righteousness. There's no in between. I am not sleeping with you. If God led you to me, it's God. Or so she just told him goodbye.
Yeah. So I almost think too that the word rejection is kind of strong.
Right.
I think that we are making choices of people that will fit us. As I said in my book, I'll leave a link at some point, and people who will not. So I'd like to know if there's anyone who is willing to say how you would let someone, you know, the guy or the girl know, I don't think it's going to work. Because sometimes, you know, like the story that was just mentioned, somebody wants to be, you know, as the young people would say, they want to be messing around. And so it's like, those are not my standards. Sometimes you see the person and the chemistry is not what you thought because it was online. So when you actually see the person, it's not really what you expect. That's a little bit ticklish because if everything was going really well talking, and then when you see each other, the chemistry is not there, you know, it has to be, you know, in order to be kind, you have to know how to let a person know that you're not really feeling it. So the ball is out in the field. Who wants to speak with how you make the choice? I don't want to use the word rejection, Dan, because I think it's really kind of strong. And then it really points a spotlight on ourselves as if to say, I'm not good enough, you know? And I don't think we should think of it that way because sometimes some of the people that we didn't get with, we need to say, thank you, Jesus. Amen? Thank you, Jesus. We didn't get with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So somebody speak to me on verbiage that you can use, texting or speaking, to let a person know you don't think that's going to work.
Be respectful. Be respectful and just put yourself in that category and just let's be friends. Let's be friends. And then you kind of fade it away. Little by little, but immediate rejection can hurt a person, or hurt their be sensitive about another person's feelings. So I think being friend with a person first, establish your friendship so that you don't put yourself in an uncomfortable situation to reject them. When you slide into friendship, you go step by step. And then if you see that there's a character that you don't want and you see that it's not on your checklist, then you can fade it away to only becoming friends.
All right, fade it away, Sister Malver says. Anyone else?
I think it's generational, the way you would communicate this, because the way a Gen Xer communicates it is different than a baby boomer, than a millennial. And I think the way it's received also depends on the generation that we're in. Personally, I think it's, honesty is always best, right? To say that, I really like you. There are ways to say, that whole sandwich thing, where you say something nice, and then you say the negative things, and then you finish off with something nice. So perhaps that might be a good way to do that, that I think might be received by all generations. But yeah.
Well, Sharon, why don't you role play and just role play right now?
Oh, okay. I think I can do that. Okay, so I'm speaking to Daryl, and perhaps I met Daryl online. We had good conversations for maybe a couple of weeks, and we're meeting in person for the first time. Let's say the first time. But when I see Daryl, really, he's just not my type. I'm a tall girl, and I like men a certain height. So let's just be very superficial and say he's just not my type. So what I would do, I would say, Daryl, I would first finish the date, enjoy whatever meal that we're having. And at the end of the day, I would say to Daryl, I really, really enjoyed my time with you. I think you're a great guy. I love your personality. Your sense of humor is just great. And I would say a few other nice things. And I would not use the word but, but I would find a way to say that, at this time, I would be honest. I would be honest. And I would say, I don't think that, a second date would be good, would work for us. I would say it in a nice way. Maybe I'm not using the right words, but that's how I would do it. I would say I would say a whole lot of nice things, and then say the thing that's not so pleasant. And then, at the end, say something perhaps, I have a friend who might you might really get along well with. Because
you're just gonna push him off.
Someone, if you know right away this is not the person for you, just be kind and say, I have a friend.
Thank you. Darnett has something.
I will not say you're too short for me. No.
Right. Darnett
I'm a
has
tall
something.
girl.
Darnett has something to say. Go ahead, Darnett.
Well, actually, it's not Darnett, it's Darnett's husband.
Oh, okay.
Upton.
Okay.
Now, is there ever a time or a place in that scenario for the individual to just disappear and not say anything?
Wow.
Yeah, I think that happens. And I think that's something that Dan would who started this conversation thread, would feel really some kind of way about, and I think it's kind of cowardly to just ghost a person. I think it's cowardly.
Yes, out of sight, not out of mind. And silence is very loud. And remember making a choice. And sometimes we tend to believe that once we started a date, am I coming through clearly?
Not
once
always.
We started a date. Okay. Once we started a date, we could think, and I think it's important to appreciate that about to commit myself to you for the rest of my life. And open that and to recognize that the person that I may not choose, that I don't believe is right for me, is right for someone else. And it's not right for me to leave them in a situation where they feel less about themselves because they've met me. In fact, I should be one to, in the way we separate, they should feel better about themselves. We should both feel empowered to continue on our journey, our dating journey.
Continue on the dating journey, or, you know, continue searching, but for other people. Is that what you mean?
Searching, yes, for someone else.
Yeah. I remember a case, guys, where I introduced my friend. I'm so much a matchmaker because I love love. So if it doesn't happen to me, I definitely want it to happen to you. And so I introduced a friend to someone else, and they talked well for, you know, many hours late at night and everything, but they had never really seen each other. Now, this particular person to me is an attractive enough young lady, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But one of the things that I hear men say a lot is that, especially online, is that the women are all big. You know, once they get over 40, they're just also big. So it seems as if that's something that's really important, that men want slim women or slimmer women. So this was a slim woman, attractive woman and everything, but they had never seen each other. And then after they saw each other, he just stopped talking. So the physical is really, really important, because that's where the chemistry, that's where the beginning of everything starts. But it made me realize that if I'm doing a matchmaking or people are connecting on their own online, you have to see the person. I will tell people, because I've been online, I am online, I'll say FaceTime right away. Let me see whether or not who you put there is who you say you are. Because I'm really turned off if you have a certain picture and then when I actually see you, you're much bigger. You know, it's usually that way, much bigger than the picture, or that wasn't actually you. So it's kind of hard. I think that's why online in a way is easier than in person, just because if somebody approaches you in person, it might be hard to say that the main reason why you're not interested is just because you're not attracted to them. That's really kind of hard. Like, I don't know who would really say that. But then if you're online and you're seeing pictures, you can keep going, because it's like, oh, that person, like the lady said before, she's not tall, he's not tall enough, because everybody puts their height down, right? Maybe a man might be off by an inch or so, but everybody puts their height down. So if you see 5'8" and you're a 5'10" gal, you could just keep it pushing, right? So how do you respond? The ball is out in the field. How do you respond when the only reason really is just because you're not attracted to them? And how important is that to you?
I know that there's a general consensus that men begin the process through their eyes. And I'd like the men here, online, if they could share more about that, how true that is for them, that men sort of love with their eyes. The attraction begins with what they see. Please let us know you're here. Just share with us how true that is for you.
Well, for me, it wasn't that way. I learned a long time ago, because I was hurt early in my life, that you don't go by what you see, just go by what you feel. Because there's a lot of people who carry an extra self, meaning they show one side of themselves, but when the real deal comes, you get to see the real side. And that might not be the best side for you. That's what I feel.
So that's more than meets the eyes, right?
Exactly. We have to be real as men. And a lot of times we go by, what I would say is, how do I want to put this? A lot of us use eyesight as opposed to what we really looking for. Then you find out later on that's not what you're really looking for. Then sometimes you step too much in it, it's hard to get out of it.
I saw Reed. Thank you for sharing that. I saw Reed's hands up.
Yes, Ray.
You guys really want me to comment? And good evening, everyone. I was just saying that I was just thinking to myself that my income was always affected the outcome because I look richer than I am. So that makes me attractive to most people, and they find out my income doesn't match the way I look. But anyhow, so they have a problem saying, you got to go, right? And I thank Sister Sharon for sharing because, men are so fragile, you would not believe it. Their egos are so fragile. You have to be so careful with how you tell them no, that you're not the right type. You're just not the right fit. And I know women are too, but I know for a man to step out of his silence and say, and start dating or go on that first date and just being rejected, I tell you, it hurts. It's painful, So again, in terms of meeting the right person, looking at I think that men are physical. They're very visual. They're very visual. But what I'm seeing nowadays is women who are successful. They come in all different shapes and forms. And I like the confident ones, to tell you the truth. But the same confident one is the one who will tell you to step without thinking twice. So you have to find that delicate balance by finding about their background. Because their parents, not just the generation they grew up in, Sister Sharon, but how they are oriented, Christian, whether they're going to sandwich it with a good compliment and a bad and not a good compliment at the end, has a lot to do how that person speaks as a Christian, how they filter through the fruit of the Spirit, and they're patient in recognizing that you're not a human being. That is so important. That is so important. So it's not just having the right words to say to the person, but their feeling has to come into play. Because that person could be ready to jump off a bridge. Because if God told me that you are for me, Sister Yvette, are you listening to me?
I am listening to you, my brother.
Okay, you don't have to read between the lines. But if God told me that you are for me, I'm not going to stop pursuing you. I'm going to come boldly. And I'm going to be praying, and I'm going to let you know that God told me, or that I feel that this is a spiritual thing, a spiritual relation. I see it building that way. And I've been in relationships that are like that. And I felt that God really said, this is the one. Now, the other person might not have gotten the memo. That's not my fault. That's not my fault, but I'm going to pursue with every spiritual intention. I'm willing to wait, kneel down, pray with that person, and hold their hands, of course, while I'm praying, and let them know, so we can feel that current, that electrifying moment that God is indeed saying, hey, listen. And when you have that feeling between you, Brother Julian, that God is really directing the path right here, you won't ever have any regrets, brother. That gentleman that spoke, you won't ever have any regrets about, because I've had many who I said, the one who got away. I wanted to write a poem like that, the one who got away, because you can't have a second chance with that person, because you never, at that time, you just never saw that God was really, and then later on you regret it, because you did see that that was the person God had sent. Thank you.
I thank you for that, Ray. I have some real concerns about men, because women don't tend to say that. Well, actually, I do have a friend who said that, but men who say, God told me, had a vision, I know you're the one. I don't know. If you're going to speak to that, Joan, go ahead. But if you have another comment, that's fine too. Go ahead, Joan. Joan Nelson Anderson, you've got your hand raised.
I am sorry, hold on. I'm trying to mute my other program. One moment, please.
Yes.
Go. Yes, I'm sorry about that. Yes, I'm just adding my little thought as I've been listening. And is my thing about relationships and marriages, you have to love yourself first. Loving God and loving yourself first. And especially when when a thought was mentioned about women of different sizes. As Ray will tell you and attest, I have been always proud of myself, as they always call me fluffy. And I'm proud of being fluffy. Because guess what? The first thing I tell them, I love to cook and I love to eat my own food. So I love myself. Yes, and I make sure when you dress as a woman, dress yourself accordingly. Wear the clothes that fits your curves and your, you know, your body attire in the way that when a man looks at you, he doesn't look and see your fluffiness or your slimness or your bone in it or your bones or whatever, but he sees you for who you are. You see? And that is where I think a lot of times we as women, sometimes we fail in our attire and in the way we present ourselves. You know, so love yourself, love God, love yourself first. So therefore, when you go, then you start looking for a companion or whatever, then in turn, their first thing is loving you for who you are. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yvette, I noticed a question in the chat, and I'd like to, tag the question because on the subject, Samantha asked, does God really choose for you though? And I'd like to know if you want to, answer this question, does God really choose for you?
All right. Does God really choose for you? So he says in his word that there's no good thing that he will withhold from those who walk uprightly, that he wants to give us the desires of our heart. And, it's possible the desires of our heart is not even for everyone to be married. That might not even be the desire. So it's really case by case what your desire is. I know that, I think it was mentioned, Isaac and Rebecca, that was a marriage that Eliezer oversaw, right? We know in the very beginning, before sin came into this world, when everything was perfect, God oversaw the need for companionship, love, intimacy, and everything. And he made it so that that whole intimacy was going to be something that we were always going to be craving because it, we love it. So God he engineered our bodies and made the desire for physical and emotional intimacy something that was hardwired and built in. So does God choose for us? I guess, I will put that back out there to everyone else. And I see that there are several people that want to chime in. Why don't we start with Tony and just go in the line? I don't know if Joan is coming back, but Tony is there.
All right. I have a response to the gentleman who was saying about, and you also, Yvette, that sometimes you don't get a second chance, but I have got that second chance. And I'm working on that now with the same woman from before.
Wow.
She is an incredible woman.
Wow.
And this is many years, but she still has that love in her heart. I've never met a woman like her. And I pray that God will allow us to be one.
Oh, or aw, not oh, but aw, Tony. That was really personal. Thank you for sharing. And I hope if it's God's will, that really comes to pass. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
You're
Absolutely.
welcome. Thank you.
Ray and then Dan.
Amen, Brother Tony. Thank you for that. One of us must be a winner. You just spoke on behalf of all the men. Trust me. Thank you so much. All right.
Amen.
And so
Amen.
if I get my second chance, believe me, I'm not going to waste it either. you know. But to
Absolutely.
God be the glory for you. Congratulations, you know. And what I'm saying here is, you know what the Bible says, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, right? And what it says after that.
All these things shall be added onto you.
So I put my benefits in that, including my relationships. I'm looking for all the other things that will be added on to me. And so if I'm seeking first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, I'm looking for knowledge in how God, the principles of how God want me to conduct myself in relationships. Then when I find that person, right, that check mark will start going up. Yes, she fits the bill, she fits the bill. So it's not so much how she looks, because I'm going to be living with her for the rest of my life. And it's the worst thing to be married to a beautiful, miserable woman. I can tell you that. No, I don't have it. I'm not going to say that is a fact. I'm just saying that, you know, I'm sure that that is a fact. You don't want to be around somebody who is miserable but beautiful, unless you want to say what you call comparative advantage, brother, pays off, you know. Because some people will substitute some things and say, well, if he has enough money, who cares if he's ugly, or who cares if he's short or tall or whatever, you know. Some people will say that, substitute, but that is living on a lie. That's a foundation, a relationship on a lie. That's not what God wants. And so if my all other things are all other, because, you know, when you get married, they say forsaking all other, right? Well, once I seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness, my all the benefits, including the right woman, will fall in place. And I will know, you will know if it's the right person. Now, we can fall out of love. We can fall out of God's grace. We can fall out of his plan and his guidelines, because we become selfish. And as Dr. Kelly says, when we have a disagreement, we don't leave unless we have options. Remember, we took a note of that. Remember last week or whenever she said that, we don't leave unless we have options. So this is where the devil comes in. He gives us so many options. And you will go to work diligent, love your wife. And if you see the options that show up at work, on the train, even in the line when you're paying your utility bill, oh my goodness. Let me not say anything else, because I might get in trouble. I plead the fifth.
Thank you, Ray. Dan, you had your hand up. Dan, you had your hand up before.
I was just clapping for the guy who said he had a second chance, and
yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Kelly, Yvette, you know, and you know, there's also another, you know, it's earlier in, at the very beginning, the idea of, do we even have a choice, because we're still searching. And I'd like to kind of introduce here on some level the idea of pool. How big is my pool? How wide is my pool? Sometimes it appears that sometimes we may settle because we didn't have an expanded pool. We perhaps wanted to stay within our culture, for example, and we may not want to go outside of our culture, and so we may want to we stay within our church district and not go beyond. May want to go to another state, whatever. And now we have online, and some, you know, limit themselves to not being online. So the pool might be something to consider. I'm wondering how much of that could be a factor in not observing that there is a choice of suitors.
Okay, so let me repeat. Matthew was saying the pool of available men and women. I believe this probably applies more to the pool of available men, because there are a lot of us out here. But before I say anything further, Gabrielle hasn't spoken or has her hand up, and this is her first time. So Gabrielle, go ahead. Gabrielle? Okay. We'll get back to you, Gabrielle. Who else? Darnett. Okay, before I speak, go ahead, Darnett, or Darnett's husband.
Okay, considering the, hold for me, let me, so considering the pool, the limited pool, the pool with limited men, as you mentioned, available men, less men than women, is it okay, or maybe I should say, should, as a woman, should I, well, I'm a man, but should a lady take the risk of dating a guy who once dated her friend, especially when they belong to the same social group, like the same church or the same workplace? Isn't it a big risk, and should a lady take that risk?
That's just drama.
I almost think that I almost think that's personal as far as, but I think from the people that I know, most women probably, once you're taken already from somebody that they know, they wouldn't want to be involved. You know, I don't know if anybody can type in the chat or just say yes, no. Yes, no, right, Hillary? Drama.
Wait, hello?
Yes, Gabrielle, are you on, Gabrielle?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you
Can
now.
you hear me?
We can.
I was saying to what Ray, I don't know, I guess this is a little bit not on the topic right now, but to what Mr. Ray was saying earlier, are you men are only as loyal as...
Gabrielle, you're breaking up a bit. What we caught is Ray saying that men only are loyal as, and then we didn't hear anything else.
Are they only as, he's saying like you can really love your wife but still go to work and be like tempted. So are you saying that men are only as loyal as their options?
Question for Ray or anybody else in the field.
I'm just talking about temptations, Gabrielle. There's so much temptations out there that you have to be really in Christ to really stay alert. You have to be alert.
Can I add in to that?
Yes, go ahead, Dan.
So I was married 28 years, and yes, I was tempted at times, but I never crossed the line. I married a young, poor, and before we married, we became good friends, and then we got engaged and got married, and we did not do everything together, but we did a lot of things together. I mean, we didn't go to work together, but we had a very good marriage for 28 years.
Good.
Thanks for sharing, Dan. And I'm not sure if Donnet wanted to share. Our hand is still up.
Darnett?
Really, that may have been mistaken, but I will seize the opportunity to add something to the earlier question that I asked. And then you did say, Madam Chair, that it is something personal. But I would want to think that it would have been okay, considering a person is looking at a life partner as against what others may label as drama for 9 days. If I see the woman, if I see the man, I love him, I want him, he loves me, we are compatible, we see we are both Christians and it can work, forget about the crowd and do what it is that I want to do for me. Just my input, further input in that one.
Thank you for that, Darnett. I mean, Darnett's husband. What's your Mr. Nickel, Brother Nickel? I think we got sidetracked a little bit, Matthew, or on an original thread, and now I can't even remember what it was. Oh, what it was the pool and what we do about the fact that there aren't that many available. And so some of the options that are, I'm just going to state them and throw it out into the field because I want you to talk back to me. Our churches are closed, some of them anyway. The Black churches definitely are more closed than our multicultural churches, right? This is mostly a Black crowd here. So you're not going to find them going into church. And I'm assuming nobody's really in school at this point, so we're not really finding them in school. You will find people online because the purpose of being online is to meet people. And you might want to widen your horizon maybe and thinking, well, I will date outside of my race. There are many other races to choose from aside from the most obvious, which is white, Black and white. It's Hispanic, there's Asian. Yeah, Indian, Right. So these are ways of opening up options. Who is willing to take any?
I would like to address that.
Yes, Sharon, go ahead, Sharon.
I'd like to address that if I can, because the last research I saw showed that there was 4 to 1, 4 Black women to 1 Black man. And we find that a lot of the Black men are seeking other races. So there is definitely an issue as far as Black women are concerned, as it pertains to eligible men, eligible and available men, right? So I don't think Black women have a choice but to begin to get to accept the idea that they may have to look at other races. Some of us, we love our Black men because let me just say, of all the races, it's interesting that the research shows that Black women are on the list of being the least desirable among women, but Black men are very desirable to many different races. So the competition really is very, very steep. So I think one of the things that Black women need to do is we have to begin to accept the fact that we must begin to look. I'm married, so I'm not looking, but we have to, Black women need to begin to look outside of their races. We just have to begin to accept that. We love Black men though. Black men, like I just said, are very desirable. They're tall, they're dark, they're handsome, they're supremely attractive to all races. But unfortunately, women, if the reality is not to have a husband, then you may have to begin to look at some of the less desirables, if I can say it like that.
I love everything you say aside from the less desirable, Sharon. It's just
I'm just picking up my Black men, if I could do that.
Okay. We want to big up our Black men, but we also want to acknowledge the fact that, there are other options, really. Who else wants to chime in that they love them some Black men, but the Black men are not always available or eligible, and so they are open? Who else wants to share?
I want to say something. I want to say something. Okay, I'm married. I've been married for 32 and a half years now. But I want to address the race issue. All of us have that list of the things we would like for the person. And for me, race was never one of them. To me, because you're looking for somebody with certain characteristics, also certain physical attributes, but for me, race was never one of them. And I don't know why, but for me, it was never an issue. So to me, if I saw an Indian person, they were attractive. Yes, I could have married an Indian. I could have married a Chinese person. I could have married any race. It didn't matter to me. It's a matter of what I found attractive about the person. So the race was secondary. So I just wanted to mention that. I know for some people it's very important, and I understand that. But for me, that was never something that was on my list. Just wanted to throw that out there. So I had more options.
Appreciate that, Hillary. Bobby?
Thank you.
Bobby?
Well, good night. Just kind
Good
of
night.
listening a little bit. One of the things that when I listen to a lot of women talk, one of the things that they think about is gene pooling. And also when they look at a man, they also think about what their children are going to look like. And those are some big factors that I tend to hear from women across the board. So that's just my little conversation or piece to add to the conversation at large.
Thank you. I think many women here might not be so much thinking about those children anymore. There is a question. There are two comments that have come on. We haven't addressed them. Somebody said that I think there's a great pool here from what I'm hearing, but I'm not sure if anyone is taking the conversation seriously. Somebody else said, how many single men are here? And maybe my soulmate is here. So I don't know. I don't know this is only my second time coming in. I know a few people here, so I don't know who is single. So the next time you speak as a male, can you just say available or single, whichever one you want to say, because we don't know. You might think we know and we don't know. And furthermore, looking at, I don't know, we don't know what you look like either. So even though the men are supposed to be the more visual, right, Matthew? We need to see you. If you are available, show yourself. And so, I mean, maybe right here, something could start. I don't know. And tell us if you are available. Show yourself and say if you're available.
Excuse me, Sister Yvette, just a minute here.
Well, you're on to something because, go ahead.
I have been listening and I realize, I don't think to where the world is we're in right now. There are few, very little men available right now. The last time I checked, they said it was 10-1 right now. They said it was 10-1. I am in that category. And the way how some of our men cheat us as women, it is so hard for we to, that's why men normally get rejected, because you don't know who is who, and because we are already hurt. The way I feel like I would date a white man right now, the way how a black man cheat us. Believe you me, I would date a Chinese man or any other man except a black man right now. Honestly, our men are so
that. Amen to that.
They are dishonest, they are unfaithful, and they are liars. They lie for just about every and anything. And I'm telling you, some of these men have their good wives at home, their good women at home, and they go out and say some of them have affairs out, and they come home and then they disrespect who they have at home. And that is the worst thing you can ever do. I know what I notice? Many of the men, because I see happen to people, they have the good women at home, whether wife, fiance, girlfriend, or what. And they go out there and they have affairs. And they come home, they disrespect all who they have at the house. And eventually the relationship break up. And all who they disrespect the woman for at home, leave them and God, and they would want back the woman right now in their lives. They would want back that same woman right now. Because what the woman at the house will do for them and do to them, the woman outside, they're not doing it. If they are not dealing with them financially, they don't want them. They come home, they're sick. You have to be taking care of them. You have to do this. You have to do that. And I see right now, I know a man right now he's in a nursing home right now, live with this nice young woman. They have a child together, and the girl just wanted to just settle down, have a nice, decent life, and that guy would have never done nothing to help that girl. And then she just move out eventually, move out, and now she find a nice, wonderful husband right now. And that guy right now do anything to have her back, right now. And I'm saying, men, when you have your good women at house, you love them, but most of all, respect them. It does not matter what you go outside to do. Once you come home, respect your home, respect who you have at your home. And that's why a lot of men are going to be in trouble these days, because what the things they are doing, it is, I said they are weak. Very, 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 very weak. Okay, so I'm giving somebody else a chance.
Thank you for sharing.
Mr.
Thank you
Charmaine,
for sharing.
thank you for sharing. But my dad told me, once a man cheat, that's it, to the left. He said a cheater will never change. Leave him alone. Just go your way. That's what my dad told us. Don't stay with a cheater. He can't treat you right. I can call him and tell him the same thing. You deserve better. You need more.
Everywhere I turn is pure single women, single men. A lot of women, even in our churches, they are single and they are in redemption, praise Him. But we have so many nice women in redemption, praise Him, and they are single. What is going on in the world? What is going on with our men? I don't understand, and I don't know. We have so many good women here, and these men, they don't think. You know, they play first before they think twice before you answer. Think twice before you say yes. I'm telling you, a good woman hard to find and a good man hard to find. And when you do find somebody, communication. Without communication in a relationship and respect, you ain't going nowhere. You have to have communication and you have to show respect. Without that, you ain't going nowhere, sister. I'd rather to be single.
Brother Ray?
I need a white guy.
You know, we have to bring some white guys on RPT. What I'm saying.
I thank Dan and Delroy for putting their pictures up.
Julia, can I say something?
Yes, Delroy, go ahead. You haven't spoken.
You know what? Sometimes the men cheat because the women are at fault. You know, sometimes the women are at fault where the men cheat. You know, in many instances, you can't blame. Sometimes it's a lack of support in the house. You know, so there's lots of reasons. You can't just keep beating a drum as if the men are irresponsible. They do it because of women. It's not our fault at times. I'm not sort of condone it still, but it happens because sometimes of negligence, lovelessness, lots of factors. So you can't blame the man for cheating. It's not our nature to be like that. Circumstantially.
Okay.
Ella Julian, I know you're smiling. Are you not in agreement with me?
You don't have to cheat. Some of you are too weak.
Brother Delroy,
I've often heard.
Good to see you.
Yes.
It's so good to see you. And
I know.
Yeah,
I'm giving you a thumbs up.
We do appreciate that in a relationship. You see, we started earlier by saying very strongly that both men and women get hurt based on how they're treated. And someone says you need to love yourself, and that's very powerful. And I believe if you love yourself, you want to do what is good for you, what makes you happy, not what makes you miserable. And so, even if you are treated poorly, we don't want our treatment to dictate how we're going to be as individuals. We want to have a value, an understanding that we are, honored children in God's eyes, and we behave a particular way. So I really am, all about, I know for me, I want to be how I believe my purpose dictates I would be in this life and not just how I'm treated.
Amen. If I could just add to what Elder Julian just said, we need to be careful as women what we internalize. Because yes, we have negative experiences, but we have to be careful because when we internalize and we become wounded, then we go out there and we attract what we are. So it behooves us really as women to deal with the issues. Yes, if you've been cheated on, deal with it. Do the necessary work to deal with it. Because if you go out there wounded, you're only going to attract someone else who's wounded to you. We attract what we are. So it's very important to just deal with the issues that we encounter. And we need to be whole people in order to attract whole people.
I like
I
that,
just wanted
Sharon.
to share that.
I like that.
Thank you, Sharon.
Ray, are you still around? I know you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was just asking the statistic between men and women, and maybe Sister Sharon could answer this. Is there any statistic between as to Sister Charmin was saying men are this and men are that? Is it the same for women as, equally, or only men are guilty of those sins that she mentioned?
What do you mean, Ray? What sins? You mean being unfaithful, infidelity? Is
Yeah,
that what
Is it the same in terms of statistics? Is there any research on that?
There is. And I've seen some research. I don't remember the exact number, but when I looked at it, I was shocked to see that the numbers were very close. When they looked at the percentage of men that cheated and the percentage of women, there were only like 5 points difference, which was shocking to me because I thought men cheated much, much more than women. But my understanding is that men and women cheat for different reasons. But the statistics show that there was only about 5. I'm sorry?
Can you say something again?
I can look up while we move to the next
most
person.
instances
I'll
why
do the
men
research.
cheat is because of hostility.
Okay, so she will look up the results.
Yeah, many times.
And maybe it will clarify some things for us, because it's good to know that, because we can hear all these scathing remarks about black men and that, but do we really know that to be a fact? It just seems that in our community, because that's the only point of reference we have, and even in our situation, we might use that as a benchmark to stereotype everyone. But I don't know that to be true. So I just wanted some results on that, so I could kind of, because my daughter might be coming on to listen. I want to make sure they hear, the young people hear the what's going on as well.
So Ray, what I'm hearing is that we want to be careful about generalizing from our specific situation, because it may not be accurate. It may feel that way because it's true for us from our vantage point, from where we are, and we want to be open to assimilate more information to have a more informed perspective, right?
Exactly. Thank you. Because my daughter and I had a conversation Thursday night, and she kept saying, Dad, I would never go outside of my race or my culture, which she embraces the Jamaican culture. And I said, no, you got to look around and make sure you keep your eyes wide open. But I think when we're in Christ, we're a new creature. And so we're going to end up in churches. Right now, it's like a melting pot. You're going to end up in a university where you're going to be intimate friends with all different races. So we can't limit ourselves and say that, you got to go to another race because this race is dried up or whatever. Whoever God provides for you, that person, and let me tell you something, our culture right now, you might not find your culture when you go to school, to a university. You're going to find out it's a totally different place, a different experience. And if your kid came home with a white person, a Spanish or whatever, and I'm amongst the Hispanics a lot, beautiful people everywhere I go. So we gotta keep our minds open here.
I have that result. 20% of men cheat and 13% of women cheat. That's the latest statistics I just pulled up.
Oh, so that's why there's 7-1 for every man. I understand.
Yeah, I think Caddy pulled that before you and put that in the chat. So I don't know what we think about that. But I have a question. What are the top 2 or 3 things? And I'll put this out to the men, and I will still encourage the men to not be shy, turn on your videos, tell us if you're available or not. Because I mean, here we are saying we're looking, but we don't even know what you look like. And you're not even all speaking. But whether you're married or not, if you're married, you can say, this is what I was looking for. I found it. And if you're single, this is what I'm looking for. Because maybe we're not finding each other because you're looking for something that we're not looking for, So if you're bold enough, men, What do you want?
You know, can I say something? The black females, they're just too animalistic at times. You know, they're
animalistic. Did you say
excuse
me?
Also their
Did you say animalistic?
No, honestly, no. In my experience, they're I'm telling you, I only date Spanish girls. You know, honestly, I only date Spanish girls because of the hostility and
worry about
the aggression.
Delroy will save that for later. Delroy, save that one for later.
I'm being straightforward.
Okay, let him speak. Let him speak.
No, I'm being honorably straightforward from my perspective. Everybody can speak different from different experience, but I'm saying because of the hostility and aggression, it drives me away. You see what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be offensively discriminatory, but that's the reality of the situation. I only date Spanish girls. Why? It's not a choice, but I was forced, you know, in that situation. They're just too fastidious, you know, and their fastidiousness drives me away. I mean, I know you say, why are you talking like that? You're black. No, it's not that. I love my culture. I love my race. But it's the personality, the aggression, you know, the hostility drives me insane. I can't.
So what are you looking for? What are you looking for? Aside from, because you find
I'm not suffering from lovelessness, but
you find whatever you're looking for in Hispanic women. But what are you looking for? You're looking for a feminine woman, like somebody that speaks softly? Do you know what
loyalty, you know, loyalty is one characteristic. Loyalty, a lot of other things, you know, but respect, you know.
Okay.
Respect.
Okay. Loyalty.
Delroy.
A virtuous woman. Yes.
I'm gonna get you for this the next time I see you in person.
No, as I said, I'm not being offensively discriminatory. I'm not stepping on anyone's toes. You know, I'm being very pragmatic. That's my experience. I'm not saying all, but I'm speaking from experience. Please understand, I'm being honorably straightforward. And you have to respect my straightforwardness, Sister Charmaine. You have to at least respect my straightforwardness because, I'm being honest, man.
However, I'm not giving you.
Please respect my forthrightness. You know, I'm just being real as can be. From my experience.
It's okay, Delroy. You've spoken. It's okay.
However, I'm not giving. You have a few women. To be honest with you, you have a few women who really don't cheat their guys right. To be honest with you, but it's rare, very rare. Real Jamaican woman. If you love your man, you take care of your man. That's a real typical Jamaican woman. But and I know of instances where women have a good man and I say, why didn't I meet that person? The man cheat that woman so good, but the woman, I don't believe that the woman did really love that man. I don't know if it's because of financial or of reason. And then the man finds somebody else and then that person will say, oh, I wish if I had somebody. And I said, you know, you had a good man and you let that man go all because of, you know, certain situation. But when I'm saying we are mostly behaved. Generally women at home, we don't normally cheat on our men. Most of the men that goes out and cheat. Loyally, we stay home and we take care of the men. But they are the one that go out and cheat. We normally we don't cheat like that. Basically, we have good women who at home, you understand me? And the men are the one that goes out and cheat all the time. And some of them don't have no reason to do that. And sometimes, as I said, they are weak. Most men are weak.
Point taken. Let's hear from the men. Men now.
Right.
What do you want? Delroy has said what he wants or what he doesn't want. Any other man willing to say what you're looking for?
I found what I'm looking for. I thank God for giving that. I don't need anyone else.
And Tony,
and I'm wondering if Tony,
what was it? What was it?
She's a beautiful woman who loves people and definitely loves me. She's a God-fearing woman, and she speaks as she feels. There's nothing to hide about it. Truth matters the most to her.
Okay.
And she loves to be loved.
Okay, nice. Any other gentlemen brave enough?
Wow.
To share what they're looking for?
While we're waiting for a man, may I just respond to Brother Delroy?
Sure.
While we're waiting for a man. First of all, I'd like to thank him for his candidness. And I'd like to agree that a lot of times, a lot of our Black women are more or less than feminine. We can be a little bit masculine, a little bit, because of some of the post-traumatic slave disorder. With everything that happened during slavery, Black women had to be strong. The men we were separated from the men, and we were the head of households, and we had to go out there and we had to work. We had to bring home the bacon. We had to fry it up. We had to take care of the kids and do everything. As a result of that, we had to be strong. A lot of our femininity was put to the wayside. So today, as a result of that, a lot of us come across as a little aggressively strong. And I think it behooves us as women that we need to get in touch with our femininity. Because if we say we want to be wives, right? We want to be able to portray a certain quality that is attractive to a masculine man. And so when we come off as this super masculine, it is a little bit of a turn off. Some of the other cultures have perfected this a little better, like the Hispanic, like some of the Asian cultures. They know how to make a man feel like a man. We don't have to constantly be butting heads. We have to learn how to speak to our men in a way that elicits the result that we want, that is beneficial to us as women. So Black women, we need to learn that. This is something I had to learn, because in my house, I come from a group of strong women. My mother, my sisters, were all very strong. And we had to learn to kind of take a little bit of a step back. It behooves us women to learn that. And you will see how much more you attract with softness and femininity rather than aggressive masculinity.
Of course.
Amen, sister. Amen.
Of course, powerful words, powerful words.
I had to turn on my camera for that. Amen.
Okay, Grace, did you
Of
want
course,
to say
that's
something
powerful, powerful words.
Now, I agree with what she's saying, 100%. Because of society and times changing, a woman has evolved into a stronger human being than we were many years ago. And as a result, we have taken on a lot of responsibility. But if we remember, if you're in a relationship and you love your husband, you be it your boyfriend, husband, spouse, whatever, if you're with someone, you have to remember that a man's ego is extremely fragile. The more love you show him, the more kindness, the more you pamper him and treat him wonderfully, he is going to treat you wonderfully too.
Yes, yes.
A man is like a little kid. Men are like larger boys. They're still boys at heart. They're still little kids at heart. And we have to remember that as women. I mean, a movie, Greek wedding, something Greek wedding, crazy Greek wedding or something. And the woman said, the man is the head, but the woman is the neck. Which is so true. If you love your husband and your boyfriend and you treat him well, that relationship is going to thrive. It's going to thrive.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Thank you for sharing.
But sometimes you treat them so nice that you overtreat them and they still don't treat it the way you're supposed to be treated. Sometimes you pamper them, you treat them like a king, and they don't treat you the way you're supposed to be treated.
But then sometimes you have to check. Sometimes
I could respond. I could respond to that.
Sister Carmen, remember, Sister Carmen, remember there are always exceptions to the rules, you know.
Yeah, I could respond to Sister Charmaine because I heard a lady said that there's a entitlement mentality, and I think there's some men who feel that they're entitled, and so you might get that kind of behavior no matter how well you treat them. They feel entitled. So you have to be careful about those kind of person who come across.
Well, that's not the man that you should be with then.
Exactly.
That's
they
not
will
the
come
person for you.
You will see the red flags before and you will know, but a a lot of women, unfortunately, are enamored by that person because they kind of exude a kind of confident, and they look attractive to them, and they're outgoing and all that kind of stuff. But that's the same guy who will spend an hour in the bathroom and competing with you for the mirror. And you have to be careful, because then you end up with, you wonder if you really have a man in the house in the end, you know, that won't get his fingernails dirty or whatever, you know. So you just might have to chase the rat, like in my case. But you know, you know, but I can say that for Brother Delroy,
yes,
we got to keep our eyes and our minds open, because there's that one. There's always that one for you. You just haven't found them. You know what I mean? But
no, I know that, brother.
And I like the fact that you
don't
limit yourself to any one culture, or
no.
you
Remember,
cannot stereotype. No, what I'm saying is you cannot put down a culture because you didn't find success there. You know, just keep your mind open. There's one for you.
No, I know. I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying from my experience. I'm not saying that they're not virtuous. I'm not implying anything of that sort. All I'm saying from my experience, that, okay? Yeah. I'm not saying I have nothing against them, because I think they're phenomenal. But from experience, okay?
But one of these days, you have to explore the title about. There's one lady that mentioned something about the men just now. What did she say? But one of these days we have to explore that about women who are strong, Sister Martin, women who are grown up in a strong background and they're go-getters, etc. There's a lot of not training, but they have to kind of, I don't want to say they have to dumb down themselves, but they shouldn't have to. It's right now you're going to go through that conflict because they're taking over. And they have to know how to handle that power, that new empowerment that they're seeking, that equality. They have to know how to handle it, but they have to filter it again through the fruit of the Spirit in order for it to come out right in the relationship.
Yes.
So Ray, you know, thank you for sharing that. You know, so that because I feel it's really important to know that if you are confident as a woman, that's not a curse.
Yes.
And
that's
so,
a blessing.
Yeah, and so I don't want it to come across that, you know, for us to think that that I don't think confidence is the same as disrespect. And
yeah,
so
but you can't be that interpretation, brother, of be submissive in the relationship.
Right.
The female, I don't know how it works, how it's going to work. All I know that we are at this junction right now where there are conflicts, it seems, because the women are taking over, and we have to accept that. You know what I mean? So how do we work with that? And still, now you're taking over. You're going to tell me to be the priest. You're going to and yet still it's conflicting in our minds because you want a woman who is confident, who is a leader, who is holding her own financially and otherwise on the job. And and then you have to deal with that confidence. So how do you deal with that confidence? You can't, and not, create a conflict. So the men have to really dumb down or relax and just enjoy the life and the benefits that come with a confident woman.
That's a really good point. I would not compare confidence to disrespect. I would compare confidence to sometimes people thinking that you're too aggressive because you know what you want.
Exactly.
And people
but there's a difference between, use the word assertive versus aggressive.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying. Be confident does not have to mean, oh, you're aggressive and consequently putting out too much masculine energy. And then I don't like that because now I'm the beta man or something like that. I'm going to give Dan a chance to speak. Dan had his hand up. I know that he had said he's really out of his comfort zone, but I applaud him for turning his camera on, letting people know who he is, who is in the room, and for participating well in this conversation. Obviously, he must feel safe, and I thank you, RPT, for providing that kind of environment. Go ahead, Dan.
There are two things. One was a question. I don't remember exactly. So I lost my train of thought. But
we were asking what do men want, and very few of them have responded. And maybe that's why we still have a problem. But we were saying, what do you want? That was one question.
Well, I don't want to. I don't want to be alone. And if I can find a friend that and go deal with level of grief that I've had from losing my wife last year, and I don't know
You lost your wife last year. Do you think you're ready for a relationship that could lead to that again?
I don't know.
I don't mean to put you on the hot spot, but you mentioned it.
Yeah. I feel, I don't know.
And there are people that are sending their condolences to
I feel
you.
alone sometimes, and that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. But I don't know.
Okay. We don't always know. Ray doesn't always know what he wants.
He was looking for a friend. He didn't say a relationship. He says he would be looking for a friend now. So anybody could be a friend to him at this point in time.
Right, Dan. Are you looking for a relationship or are you looking for a friend?
Dan, I think you were muted. I'm
Yeah,
not sure if you heard.
Yeah, I
Okay.
pressed the wrong button. Sorry. Well, one of the advice that my dad gave me was that to marry the best friend, and that if you can't be friends and have common things together and have things apart, really, I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be a good marriage.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking about God delivering me my wife. It wasn't just that. I mean, it was the same. I mean, it was simultaneously giving her myself to her, and we both had to buy into that. And then
Mute. Someone need to mute. We can't hear. Please mute.
Oh.
Go ahead. Excuse me. Please mute. Okay.
Yeah, I that. I think
Go ahead, Dan. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
He's mute. Dan is mute. You need to unmute.
Are you speaking?
Can you let the host?
I'm sorry, I was
go
done.
ahead, Dad.
Yeah.
Please let the host tell us what to do. I'm a co-host, so I can mute anyone. You just tell me what you want me to do, Sister Yvette or Brother Julian. Okay? Nobody else needs to speak.
Okay.
We will manage the system. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Go
So
ahead.
Dan, if you take a look at the chat, you will see that people have responded to you, and also that there is a grief support forum tomorrow at 6 on this very same platform, which is very good. I have popped in there myself. Thank you for being transparent and for really sharing. We can tell that this is still very, very raw and hard maybe for you, and our hearts are there with you. Many people have, just sent their condolences as you were speaking. So the question.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. The question was asking men what they want. And maybe many of them don't know what they want. Only a few have actually responded. But I'll open the floor up again to any man who wants to share their face, say their status. Dan opened up and shared, and to let us know, because, you know, when you guys might say things about, oh, you're too aggressive or whatever. I mean, I don't know. There could be something else. We're too tall, we're too short, we're too fat, we're too skinny. But we don't know. You know, this is a forum where you can share.
Absolutely. You know, even when I was dating, a key piece for me, I always wanted someone I could talk to.
Mm-hmm.
That was very important to me. Someone I feel like I could talk with, and you know, I didn't expect us to not to have contact. I just wanted someone I could talk with. And if I observe early in our, you know, sort of, you know, getting to know each other, that talking and, you know, it's difficult to share what is important to me, then that was always a red flag for me, because I know I couldn't live with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's one of my can't stands. I have to be able to feel comfortable talking with you about anything that I need to talk about. That was big for me. And I think at some point, you know, I always someone who shared my faith. That was big for me. I needed that. And I also needed someone who I believe had the level of confidence, who would be willing to challenge me. You know, because it's difficult. You know, it's very important for. I need someone to tell me, well, I don't see it that way. I don't have the same understanding, because I you know, the way I operate, the way I learn through questioning. And if I'm not questioned, I don't feel like I have to, you know, that's powerful for me. So I need a woman with that level of confidence who would be able to engage at that level. And if that was absent, I knew that was not going to be a good place for me to go.
Thank you, Matthew, for sharing that you were actively looking for what I think you're saying is a confident woman and somebody who could communicate well. You guys could,
absolutely.
Yeah, communicate well. I think that's important.
I just put a question in the chat. Challenge you in what way, Brother Julian? Because that could be challenging.
Challenge. Yeah, great question. Let me clarify, Ray. I wasn't looking to go into the ring and have a boxing match. You know, I definitely wasn't looking for that. But I was looking for the kind of support that pushes me to be better. That I understood that I had blind spots, and I don't always see things, you know, my ways, not always, you know, and not usually not the best way anyway. It's just that when I have that kind of input, that, you know, don't not share with me because you think I'm the man. That's so difficult for me to accept. I can't accept that. You know, share what's on your heart. I don't need you to be intimidated and not share, or feel like if you have to feel that I am in a position where you can't share with me, then that's not good for you either. So I don't think we are in a good space. So I need someone, Ray, who I believe has the confidence to challenge things. You know, this is your home. This is your relationship as well. And, you know, you have to feel at home there, at home enough to be able to say, no, Matthew, that's not going to work. That's not the way I want to go. And if we can't have that discussion, then I don't know how we can have a relationship.
Right.
Amen. Sister Yvette, the best way I heard that said was a counselor that came up to Teenage Church, husband and wife. They did a presentation, and she said he decided to spend some money for the family, a lot of money. And she said, okay, honey, you go ahead. Remember, you're in charge of the family. If we go broke, then we will deal with that. And she not challenging, but she put it in such a way that he said he went into a prayer and fasting because he realized that if he messed up, you know what I mean? And you know, when we make choices without really consulting the family, and so we have to consult God, consult our family, and let them know what we're doing. And that was not a challenge. That was basically saying, somebody was saying we need to affirm our black men, talk to them the right way, as Sister Mason was saying, affirm our men, talk to them the right way, and maybe you will get more out of them. So I think I can't answer your question, Sister, in one answer about what I want. What I can tell you what I don't want, but I can't exactly say what I want. I can tell you that it's going to come in a package. It's going to be a little bit in aisle 3, aisle 4, and maybe aisle 10. And I think I just got like an epiphany that just said to me, maybe the way out to define what I want is to look back at the ones who got away. And maybe if I can look at their characteristic, maybe it will help me to define exactly what I want. It just came to mind, so I don't have time to process, but I'm just saying.
Right. Very well. So I love the music, Matthew, that was on earlier. Can we get another selection? And then we'll close off by asking what the women want, because if the men don't necessarily know completely and or don't want to share, I'm sure the women are willing to share what they're looking for. And so I want to make sure that we can be equal opportunists, equal opportunity for both genders. But can we get a song back in similar to what we had before? That was really nice.
Yes. Ajay, go ahead. And while we're waiting on Sister Ajay, yes, go ahead.
Create in me a clean heart and purify me, Create in me a clean heart so I may worship thee. Create in me a clean heart and purify me. Create in me a clean heart so I may worship thee. Create in me a clean heart and purify me. Create in me a clean heart so I may worship thee. Cast me not away from thy presence. Please don't take your spirit from me, and restore the joy of salvation so that I may worship thee. Create in me a clean heart and purify me. Create in me a clean heart so I so that I may worship thee, so that I may worship thee, so that I may worship thee.
Amen. That was beautiful. That was so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Yvette, it's interesting that here on this platform right now, we may have a couple of men who didn't share, but I feel like there are a lot more women here as well, and so we hope that all the men here, yeah, would have shared, and that perhaps is one example that and maybe some of the men here, if we were to subtract those who are married from those who aren't, would realize there really aren't a lot of men here who might be available, and so I'm not sure if we heard from everyone, but we'd love to hear now from the women, right? Just kind of what they're looking for, and because you know it'd be good to for us men to understand you know what our women are looking for, and we can be empowered to you know have that, assimilate those characters, and to create a shift so that we don't get stuck in the position that we've got to be accepted as we are without growth, right?
Right. And what I think too, you know, thanks for setting this up, Matthew, is that even if you're married, and you are, even if someone else on this platform is married, they might hear what we say, that's what she wants. You know, I think I know somebody over in Teaneck who would be great for her. Do you understand what I'm saying? So don't just, okay, I'm good, I'm in my relationship. No, you got a sister, you got a friend, you got this group. And you can say, yeah, you know, I know this person, you know, to the best of my ability of knowing them. And I have heard what they want.
Right.
I have heard.
So I'm absolutely. Yeah, we know. And I think we perhaps need to apologize as a church sometimes for not being great facilitators.
Yeah.
And perhaps not doing more to ensure. And we were getting on board, we're getting there. A lot of those initiators of relationships are coming from other faiths and not necessarily our Adventist faith. And we're getting there, we're getting better, you know. And so maybe our local churches need to pattern, you know, themselves in that way so that we can facilitate, you know, people getting into great relationships, because that's really important.
Absolutely. So I'd like to read what Grace has said. She says, being old-fashioned myself, my man is the king of my house and treated as such. So I guess she's the queen there. Is that Grace? Okay, no, I'm confusing Grace for Sharon Martin, but all right, that's not you. He in turn appreciates me, loves me, tries to understand me, listens more. Men and women are different, as women realizing that is the first step to a loving relationship. Feed off of each other's strength, respect each other. A man doesn't listen well if we nag. Do not nag, discuss, include him in all you do. And may I just add, Grace, he needs to include us, you know, all he does as well.
I agree.
Great. So she's going for, I'm the queen and he's the king of the house. And I don't know where that starts. You know, does it start with him acknowledging us as queen first, then we give it back to him as king? Or does it start with you acknowledging him first as the king?
I think because, you know, they have a saying where men come from Mars and women come from Venus. It's true to some degree, because we are deep thinkers as women. We're emotional. We tend to see something just on your face, your reaction, your emotions. We can read things much more quickly than a man can.
Yes.
You will have something that's bothering you as a woman, and the man will never know it if you really don't tell him.
Yes.
The man will come in and something is bugging him, and you know it just like that as he steps through the door.
Just like that.
We're different. We're different. And once we realize that and accept it, that a man is not like us, and treat them with love and kindness, and approach them with a discussion type of relationship where, you know, baby, what do you think about this? What do you think? I think a woman has to like bring him into that kingship. You know, he believes he's king from day one. He believes that he's king.
Anyhow.
And we have to let him continue thinking that he's king and treat him as such, but you have to mold him. Mold him.
Now, men, it's not your time, but just think about what we're doing. We're secretly molding you. And that's why some women will say, I'm not molding another man. Been there, done that. I've done 25 years of time with this person. And it could have been a great relationship, but it's like, I don't want to do that because it's almost as if we have to mold you. And you might take offense to that whole molding, but it's not your time. We gave you time already. So any other female out there wanting to say, these are the top 2 or 3 things that I'm looking for?
Let me go first. First of all, I forget to warn men. If you have your girlfriend, your wife, and if you have to go out there and cheat, never you discuss the woman at your house with who you're going with. That's a bad thing to do for men. Don't discuss your woman at your home with who you have outside. Period. Okay. What I want in a man now, I'm looking for somebody who would love me for who I am, and I love them for who they are. Okay. I'm looking for somebody who we can sit and communicate. Tell me what you like about me, and I tell you what I like about you. What you don't like about me, discuss it with me. Don't discuss it with your friends outside. Okay? Because if we are at home and there's something about me that you don't like, I'm the person to sit and talk to. If you don't tell me, how am I gonna change and know what to do if there's a fault and you don't tell me? Okay? So in a relationship with a man, I love a man who can communicate and say, babe, you know, so and so. And I can say, yes, honey, you know, so and so. And then the relationship will work. Okay? But if you don't communicate and without trust, there can be no love. You have to learn to trust each other. Okay? So I'm looking for somebody who I say, love me for who I am. And we can just start out our lives and we move on. But just don't keep me in the dark. And if you want me to really change, tell me what about me you want so we can change and live a peaceful life. But some men don't do that. They don't speak. So you don't know their mind. They keep up everything. They tell their best friend outside and you're at home don't know nothing. So you need to, men, you need to express more. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. And somebody just popped in and said they're looking for a man that is respectful, attentive, and can pay his way. All right. Anybody else?
I forget the word respectful. I forget that respectful. Yes.
Yes. Well, let me just clarify. It's not really pay his way. It's pay for the relationship. I think that's more what was meant.
Right. Can I just say one thing? I mean, I've been in this world for more than a century, so it's
more than a century.
More than a century. Wow. More than a century. Half a century. Half a century.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I wanted you to turn on your camera.
I had to correct you on that.
I feel like I've been around a century. But what I wanted to point out is that as women, we believe that men should not cheat. Men should not go out there. Yes, they shouldn't. But sometimes it's what we as women are doing or not doing that is making the man or enabling the man to be weak out there. You have to, I mean, the man met you a certain way. Oh, you know, you're looking dolly up, you look nice, your hair is done well, you go out, you date, you're dating for months, maybe you could get married in 2 years. For that 2 years, you have always made him see you looking really good, really sweet, smelling good, dressed good, put yourself together. And as soon as you get married, you start to walk around in your tear up pajamas and your rollers in your head all the time and face cream on your face all the time. And you're no longer sexy. You're no longer appealing to him. You have to act as if you are just beginning dating. Continue to date each other straight through the marriage.
Nice.
Straight through marriage. That's the only way you're going to sort of hold his attention, because they have a very short attention span. You have to hold their attention and you have to remain sexy. Men are sexual beings, and they, unfortunately, if you look in the Bible, going way back when, men had multiple women at one point, and it was okay. In those days when, I guess maybe there weren't as many women as there are now, but
careful, Grace, careful with the direction that you're going with that.
No,
Careful.
yeah, well, I don't know the Bible as much as you guys do, but I think I'm more a supporter of how a man feels than I should be as a female, because I feel strongly that sometimes we drive them away with our mood swings. We're too tired. We have a headache. We don't feel like it. You know what, not tonight. And it's more like, okay, can I make an appointment to see you, honey? Maybe tomorrow night or the next night. It doesn't run smoothly and fluid and as if you want to be with him. Sometimes, he's just going through the paces. You got to act as if you love him sexually, emotionally, physically, in everything.
Yeah. Okay, the married women are speaking. I hear them. They're chiming in.
Can I just co-sign on that? Can I co-sign on that? Because when I heard you ask, when you asked the question of men, what is it that they wanted? I was sitting here and I was like, I wanted to speak up, but since I wasn't a man, I was holding my thought. But I wanted to say that what men need more than anything else is peace. They want to be able to have a safe place. The world out there is tough. It's tough in men when they go to work. It's tough even when they come to church. It's very competitive. They want to come home and have peace. What she just said about the nagging and all of that, correct. The other thing that a man needs is they want you to be attractive. Just like she just said, the same way he got you is the way he wants you. Now, we as women, we know with childbirth and everything, yeah, we gain a few pounds here and there, but we have to make it our priority, especially as Black women. We tend to let ourselves go a little bit. When we get comfortable, when the ring is on it, we get very comfortable, right? And we gain weight and we don't see the need. If you look at our counterparts, they work a little harder to maintain themselves because they realize that men are very visual. Okay, so if I could just say that to our women. But what do I as a woman want? The 3 P's. I need for my man to be the priest. I need for him to be the protector, and I need for him to be the provider. Everything else falls behind those 3 things.
I like that. I like that a lot. That you want him to be the priest in the home spiritually. You want him to be the provider and the protector. I like that. I've heard you, Mrs. Martin and Mrs. Colquhoun, I think, and Colquhoun. Okay. And ladies, you chime in if you agree with this or not, because it's like, stay sexy, keep the things out of your hair, whatnot. I want to say that I want the men to stay sexy too.
Yes. Yes.
Okay? I want the belly to stay flat.
They're gonna stay
okay. I want the belly to stay flat. I want them to be active.
Yes.
Right? I want them to be sexy for me. It's not a one-way street.
How flat should the belly be? How flat should the belly be?
And I don't want those lifestyle diseases because they are taking care of their nutrition.
Right.
Because I could be sexy, but inside I'm just so full of lifestyle diseases.
Feed them healthy food.
Put that out there. Just want to put that out there.
Feeding them. Stop feeding them all the fatty carbs and starches. Give them healthy food to eat.
Well, he might have come in that way, but he might have come in that way.
Like, for example, how flat should the belly be?
And I think
who said that? How flat should the belly be?
Yes, I'm curious. How flat?
Okay, so it all depends. Like if you are in your 20s or 30s, which maybe you are, it should be flatter still. I was at a dental conference this past week, just left it Friday, and there was a man that was speaking, about 6'1". All the speakers are white, very trim, and I couldn't wait to ask him 2 questions. Are you plant-based? He looked in his late 60s, early 70s, right? And he was indeed 68. I said, are you plant-based or are you a runner? He says he's not plant-based, but he's very careful with his diet. He does have a nutritionist, and he was a competitive cyclist, right? And it showed. I said, I love to see a teacher and a leader and a lecturer just kind of looking that part. That was very attractive to me to be looking at for 2 hours, right? So yes, Miss the married woman here, stay sexy. I'm saying you guys put the work in too. Yeah, because we can be visual as well. We can be visual as well. And we want you also to look good for us. Am I the only one?
Well,
anybody else out there?
I'm glad you sharing that because
Agreed.
Because we could find ourselves in a situation where we tag on a certain wall, maybe a gender wall, certain
attributes,
needs and expectations that could be necessarily across the board and maybe more significant in degree, but not necessarily one or the other. And so I think it's powerful that that's happening. And you know, life changes, and I think it's important, and you know, that we all continue to be healthy, you know, after marriage, and I think sometimes, you know, Yvette, that's probably one of the reasons why people don't put their picture up on, you know, on some of the dating sites or place in life. People are kind of trying to, you know, share things about themselves that they themselves are struggling with. We all want to be healthy, and I believe we must continue to spouse would make us attractive to a potential suitor.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you were breaking up just a little bit, but I like how you said, let's not pin certain qualities to one gender. Is there any other female, especially someone that hasn't spoken up yet, who wants to use this time to come on camera and share what you want, what you're looking for? Again, it could be somebody here in this group, but if it's not someone in this group, then if you share what you're looking for, the men know other men. We're the ones that don't know the men. They can take this back, or it's just something that we're more aware of. You know, maybe what we're looking for is something common to us as Black women, and maybe it's just different, you know, and I'll share what I'm looking for at the end, but I just want to give anyone else an opportunity, any female, an opportunity, particularly who hasn't spoken. Shahira, I haven't seen you. I just see a little pretty baby. Claudette Beckford. Now let me start calling people out now. Pastor Deborah Bannister Seeley, I don't know if you're single, yay or nay, but who else wants to speak?
Okay, I'm not looking, but if I was looking, I would be interested in someone who has a Christian background, preferably a Seventh-day Adventist. I'm not going outside my religion.
Okay.
And someone who is passionate about everything that he does. Someone who knows when to lay back and relax and when to kick it off.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I would like a leader. I like to follow a leader, a good leader and a good teacher. And respect is not an option. And that's what I'll be interested in. Great voice. Let me don't forget about tall, dark, and handsome, really black as I can get it.
Okay. Okay. Everybody has the things that they're looking for in beauty, you know, and that's okay. That's
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Don't
Anybody
put too much emphasis on that though. The
Mm.
right one might just pass you by.
Yeah, I know.
Anybody else?
Yeah, we have a lot of women here. I could see a lot more than the men, and it would be very helpful to us and to share. And you know, I know if you're here, it's a good place to just let us know just what you're looking for. There are a lot of men here who would love to know.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, 1 second.
Are you there?
While we're waiting on him, I just want to tell you I'm enjoying the program. It's amazing. It's amazing. We left where we were and we went out to get something to eat, just to get some internet. And
oh,
over an hour, it's too much fun.
Nice.
Wow.
Bless you.
Okay, I'm back.
Good to see you, Fast. Sister Right.
Hi.
Good to
Lovely
see you.
program. I love the program. I'm waiting to hear more what the ladies are saying. I love the tall,
All
dark,
right.
and handsome one.
That's weak. I think that should be a
You know,
better
All right,
word.
Tony. Go ahead, Tony.
Second of all,
I love.
I'm sorry,
I was-
Tony. We didn't hear the first. We just heard second of all, I think.
Okay, the first part is not all men are weak. I would say we are tempted, but not weak. So I don't think we should call men weak because we aren't. We just handle things maybe different than women since we're both different people. And I was raised by a mother who raised 6 of us by herself. So I love strong women. I don't have a problem with that because my mother raised me to be the man that I am. And I think she did an awesome job. So I don't have a problem with strong women at all. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Mhm. And I think Yvette, that is one of the things that we shared earlier, that men appreciate feeling respected when, you know, and so one of the things that doesn't communicate a sense of you are respected, you know, is those generic labels that, and it goes both ways. We don't want to generically label and tag certain behaviors as if they are the person, because behaviors can change.
Yes,
And
yes.
people want to be aware of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a few things. One, and then I'll let Sister Wright say a quick word, and I'll turn it back over to you. You guys are the boss, so. But we've gone nearly 2 hours here or more, and I realize we're going to have to do part 3. This is amazing. So Yvette, you're in trouble. You are in a whole lot of trouble here. And Elder Julian is doing a great job. You're wonderful. So we're going to bring you guys back again, and
Thank you,
I'll
Fab.
maybe stay nearby. But we're going to have fun. It's really riveting. This is riveting stuff. Riveting.
Well, there is no Ernie Wright,
I think
you know, here, and it's noticeable. Now we can see
don't even
why
try.
it's noticeable, you know, because you're here now.
But just for the record, I want you to know that I enjoyed both of you all evening long. It really was amazing. It was just a pleasure to watch RPT doing such a great job. I'm so proud. I know all of you must be proud of yourselves. And one thing happened that never happened before, and that is that I'm in a car right now. That Delroy showed himself, and we're still alive.
Yay!
Pastor, can I say something? Pastor, you should invite Sister Yvette again. She's endowed with unique characteristics. We need her to come again. She's phenomenal. She's phenomenal.
And I'm Hispanic.
Oh, she's endowed with unique characteristics. She's phenomenal.
Yeah, but
Praise the
Delroy,
Lord. Praise the Lord.
Delroy,
Yes, Pastor.
she's not Hispanic.
Yes.
You know, just like you said, she's not Hispanic. She's gonna have to
I
learn.
thought, you know what? I'm sorry, Pastor. I thought she was Hispanic. I'm sorry. You sure? I thought she was Hispanic. Honestly.
Anyway.
I thought she was Hispanic. Honestly.
All right,
This is
Delroy.
hilarious.
All right,
All
Delroy. I do speak Spanish anyway. Do we have any other women who we can end off with? I see my friend on. She's come up on the first page. Do we have any other women who are bold enough to say what they want, what they're looking for?
I'll talk. Yvette.
Thank you.
I'm in the car, so that's why I was driving and I couldn't hold the phone.
Sure.
So I
Hey, go ahead,
stopped
Jasmine.
so I could share.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so what I'm looking for is a man that is a Christian, a Seventh-day Adventist Christian, and that we have things in common that we can do together, and that we have good communication, and that we just enjoy each other. You know, like you want a life partner. I'm older now, so I really want somebody that I can enjoy the second half with. Half. I'm at halftime, so I want the second half to be sweeter than the first. How about that?
I hear you.
And I want somebody that I enjoy looking at. Like I want somebody that I am attracted to.
Yes.
And we can, you know, still enjoy the second half and get out and have fun. I want to have fun. Like I've worked very hard for most of my life, and I just like to have somebody I can have fun with, and we can do things together, and not just sit home and watch TV. I want to get out, even though we're stuck in the house because of COVID, but just, you know, go for a walk, go out to the museum, go to dinner, you know, travel, have fun.
Okay.
Life is short. We need to have fun.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. Thank you. And I
love your energy.
Yeah, thank you, Jazz. I'm not so sure. I know if Pastor Wright and Sister Wright is available. I know Pastor Wright did say Sister Wright wanted to say something. So before we take anyone else, would like to take you on your while you're on the drive.
Okay.
Just two simple things. Number one, I love when a man can represent the family. In other words, I am easily embarrassed. So I like to see a man who can deport himself. That's one of the reasons why Pastor Wright's poured. I like a man who has self-confidence and he can deport himself. And I can go anywhere and feel confident that he's representing the family and representing Christ the way he should represent him. Also, I love to watch relationships. So I love to see how a man conducts himself with his mother and his sisters and the women in his life. It tells me a whole lot about that man. So all the things that were said before, I love what Sister Martin said about those 3 Ps. I would put in another one, but we'll talk about that another time. And but those 2 things, look at a man, the relationships around him, his friends, how he relates to those friends. But the women in his life are indicative of how he will treat you. So I like that. I really do like. And I also like when a man is not winning. In other words, he has lost something or is not in the position where he wants to be, how he handles that. Very important. When he's not winning, he's not on top, he's not on top of his game at that time. How does he respond to that? Very, very important. You know, there's some men who they always have to win and always have to be on top and always have to be. Sometimes as a good leader is also a good follower. You know, he's here a good teacher. A good teacher is also a good student.
Yes.
I like to see those things. my little 3 cents.
Thank you.
And we're having fun. We're having fun listening to you guys. Oh, you are
awesome.
Great. Awesome
Thank
points.
you.
Awesome points. I really resonate with what you said, Sister Cheryl, about when a guy is not winning, because whether you're in the relationship or already married or approaching it, that's where we as women can be very, I imagine, tender and feminine and supportive. And we don't want our men to fall apart because we're there to help. Like, I want to feel that sometimes the strength can go back and forth. Sometimes I'm strong and I can be strong for you. And then there are times when you can be strong for me, and we respect each other and there's no shame at all.
Right.
You know, because stressors happen, and that's probably the part 3. When stressors happen in the relationship, how do we handle it? Because if you live long enough, stressors of various kinds, death, disease, parenting will happen.
Role changes.
Yeah.
For example, with the immigrant community, you come over here and the man who was always a top bread earner is now can't even find a job.
Exactly.
But you, female, how do you bounce off each other that way? It's very important that we being a team. So that is part 3 and part 4.
Absolutely.
That's huge, because in those stressful moments, that's when things either implode or explode. And we have nothing left, because we weren't building a foundation strong enough to weather when those stressors would come into our lives.
So true.
Yeah. And so in dating, you kind of want to be aware of that. I mean, just how in general that person you're dating sort of respond to conflict, respond to crisis. That's so critical to even explore how they've done it in the past. You know, hearing them tell their stories. I suspect that listening is the greatest skill in dating. And some choose speaking over listening, and so they end up with the wrong person because they forgot to listen and speak less sometimes.
Exactly.
And keenly observe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other women out there want to share what they're looking for?
I have one other thing I'd like to share, if I could.
Yes.
I would like in a man who's able to love me the way that Christ loved the church. Love me in a way that he's willing to lay down his life for me if necessary. And when he does that, there will be no problem with submission. I could be the CEO of a company, but when I get home, I have no problem being submissive to a man who can love me like that. And so that is important to me. And I think for all of us as women, when the subject, I recall what Brother Ray said, where he talked about the women are so strong and what's going to happen to the men. Let me just say to the men, you have nothing to fear. Just love us like God loved the church, and all will be yours. We have no issue submitting.
Okay.
Well, I know, Sister Sharon, I am the better because my wife is strong. And I can't imagine what my life was going to be if my wife would not be assertive and a powerful leader. I mean, she's led for years, and I can't imagine her not feeling like she could lead in the home. And something that I as a man, I'll be quick to say, Sister Sharon, I often need a little push. And I love it that my wife is that powerful of a leader that she can push me. In fact, I think she's a very powerful neck in that sense, that she keeps my head turning in the right direction and my focus along the road. You know, I don't want to keep watching down at my feet too often. I might crash into her. And she keeps my vision in the right place. So yeah, we need powerful women And I'd like to hear a little bit more before we head to the close from those powerful women who are here. Just share with us what you like as we head to, Yes.
Can I say one more thing? I think it's
Sure.
really attractive to see a man lead out, like to say, call for worship. That spiritual leadership in the home is where women, I feel for myself and maybe others, they were looking for that. I came from a family where my mother and my grandmother, we had to be that spiritual leader in the home. And I would, and my dad was there too, but she was the one who most of the time called for worship. And so I would like to see where a man can do that. I can do it too, but I would like to see male leadership more.
The priest in the
yes,
home.
I need that priest. Yes, I
Thank
want
you for
that priest in my home. I want us to be able to have worship together. That means so much to me.
Thank you for
Well,
sharing that.
I think it's good to know what we want. And so if we've never really examined it, we should really do that internal reflection. It could be that there are people on that, you know, are more comfortable with listening and might not actually want to share. But even if you don't want to share in this forum, it's really something that you should do. Putting a plug in for my book, there are 7 questions I say for your soulmate, and it helps kind of stimulate some of those, you know, if you're not quite sure, where do I begin in trying to formulate what it is that I really want? Because sometimes the huge mistake is we don't know what we really want. Then the man just comes along, he's attractive enough, and it's like, boom, we're in there. We're into a relationship that was never meant to be. But what I'm hearing Jasmine say, and she came back and said this. So she started off saying things and she was all high energy. And I've known Jasmine for all my life, so I know her high energy matches my own. But what I'm hearing that's coming from the heart is, I want a spiritual leader in my relationship. I want that P that Sharon said, that first P, I want that priest. So if that's what you're looking for, that's what you really want, then we really shouldn't stop until we get that. You know, if that's in our current relationship, then great. If it's a person that is a seeker, because, you know, everybody here most everyone here is Adventist and will say, I want another Adventist. We understand each other and our core values. But what if you were to find somebody, this might open up a whole other can of worms, so we don't have to necessarily go there completely. But what if you find somebody who is a Christian, who loves the Lord, all right? Because it's not everyone that says, Lord, Lord, or that might be an Adventist that really loves the Lord. But what if you find somebody and they're a seeker, Jasmine? So they're not exactly where you might want them to be as a priest, but they're interested in learning and growing. Does that make a difference? I think there was somebody here that said, I want somebody who is willing to grow with me. Would that make a difference?
Yes, if they're interested in growing and we can study together, that's fine, as long as there's an interest and that it's consistently showing that they want to grow spiritually. I think that's sexy. I mean, you know, we want to have a balance between worship and then fun and good communication. It has to be a balance. That's all.
Yeah, Yvette and Matthew. Well, we want to be able to do part 3, so it's been a long evening. But I just wanted to say, having listened to Sharon, that you know, we might have a funeral very soon because some man is going to lay down his life for his wife or something. So we're looking up to
Exactly, Pastor, exactly. I have a problem with that P.
Your wife is getting me real strange right now. So that's going to be fun. But I just wanted to say before you all end that we thank you both for a great job. It's really wonderful. And we're going to look forward to the next program. Maybe it will be a program about how to prepare to be in a relationship, preparing us to get ready, you know, like going to the right place to find the right person. You don't find a good man maybe in a dance hall. You might find him in a university. So you got to put yourself and be proactive about finding the right man at the right place, because you don't go to a morgue generally to find a husband. You have to go somewhere else. So we just thank both of you. I think the audience should be quick to just tell us how they thought about both of you. Anybody could just say something about what you thought about these people, and they find the word anyway. Anybody wants to comment as to how you thought they did this evening?
Great
They did an
job.
awesome,
Great job. Awesome.
yeah, they did an awesome job. I was very impressed. I was invited to be here. I'm so glad I did join.
Good, good. Glad you're here.
Thank you. Coming.
All right, back to you guys. I'm done. I'm just picking you up because you guys were international. So you're rational, you're international, and everything that goes with that.
Well,
Pastor, I had to look up that word, Pastor, because your wife mentioned, I know you're in Jamaica, but your wife mentioned that she like a man who can deport himself. Were you deported, or just questioning that? You know?
I heard it, but
you heard it, you never interpreted.
To make you hear me ask her about that. I know she meant to say comport.
No, what I meant to say was their deportment.
It's deportment. I know.
Hold on. Let her fix it.
No, what I meant to say was his deportment. I love to see how a man actually comports himself, and his deportment really does it from the family, you know? I don't want to be nervous out there. I don't want to be nervous, like, what will he say? What will he do? I would like to take you somewhere you can eat, you know how to eat, you know what I mean. Those are low-hanging fruits that I don't need to.
But wait, I will make sure not to.
You make sure?
I will deport her from Jamaica to America. I'm just, good.
Well, as we close, allow me to read a couple comments that maybe people felt more comfortable writing than actually saying. Somebody says respect, communication, honesty, provider, a real relationship with God, and not someone who will not stonewall. Somebody else says, as a younger person, I'm looking for a guy who will be transparent, leave room for vulnerability. We'll talk through the hard stuff so we can enjoy the good things. I like that. And I think that's it. And I love the 3 Ps, because I would agree. And Jasmine, I know you like the first P. I'm looking for a priest as well. I'm looking for a provider. You got to come, you know, how do you know whether or not a man is going to be a good provider? I mean, do you know what to ask? Sometimes men reveal themselves what they have, and you don't even have to ask them. So, you know, if you keep listening, ladies, if that's important, you know, you will know. And the third one, what did she, a protector. I like that. I like that as well. So I might not have had the 3 Ps like that, but I am right with you. And I love the way you said it. You know, I want somebody who can, I remember I was living in Costa Rica or Panama, but I don't know which country it was that this happened. And one of my biggest fears are RATSs, but they could be MICE that I see is like whatever, like I lump them all together. And my ex was not with me, and I was there alone with the children. And I will tell you that I never saw, well, I saw 1 or 2, but the straw that broke my back, I never saw. One of my kids saw. And I hope it was true, because a whole lot of things happened based on my believing what she said. And I lost it. It was maybe 10 o'clock at night. We were in a gated community, and I was screaming and carrying on. And my daughter was maybe 11, and she said, let's read the Bible. And I was like, yeah, train up a child. But at the same time, I was freaking out. freaking out. And I said, we're all going to sleep in the car and we're going to sleep by the guards. We're not. And then I was like, you know what, let me go to this Jamaican family house in the community because there was a husband there. There was a man there, right? And he could protect all of us. And so I showed up, I had my pillows and I said, guys, to stay in the car. I'm not going to walk in there with a pillow lest she just be like, what in the world? And I went there, I knocked on the door and I was crying. I was like, can we sleep here tonight? But then the reality was she did let us sleep there that night. I said, we can't just sleep here every night. And I don't know when the man is coming back. And I called my mother and I said, you need to be here like right away. You need to look after these kids. I need to get back to the US, right? So I know what will break me, right? That's why Ray and I will never get together because Ray's scared of that too. That will bring me to my knees. And I said,
I can learn.
I'm
not as scared of the mice. It's just the rats.
They're all the same. I said to my mom, she was on a flight within 48 hours. So I stayed in the Jamaican family's home maybe 2 nights and then she was there and she's a tough country woman. And I said, you just take care of these kids. I'm out of here. Fly me out. I'm gone. And I was, so I know what I can manage. I'm definitely, that's why I would love to live in the country, but same things that I might encounter. I'm not looking to go out there with other single women. I'm looking for that provider, a protector, right? So we all should know what we want. Men that are on that did not respond, I hope you know what you want if you're still single. Women who didn't respond, I hope you know as well. Because if we don't know what we want, we don't know what we're looking for, right? And they'll walk right by us. Will walk right by us, or we won't laser focus because we don't really know. We just want tall, dark, and handsome sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Yvette. I mean, you are continuing to be such a wonderful blessing. And I'm sure everyone here this evening have been really blessed by the program. All of you who contributed to the program, thank you so much for being here and for sharing. I know I am much more informed than I would ever have. And I know that I've learned a few things from you that I'm going to be applying in my marriage to continue to keep this life and to keep it going and keep the fire burning. And so we just want to, thank you all for being here. And Yvette, we know that you are next. I think we'll be reading out your right hand of fellowship. So, you're going to be here with us. Thank you for becoming an honored member and a beloved member here at RPT. And so thank you again for just doing an amazing job, sharing your expertise, your knowledge. We are so grateful for that. And so as we're coming to an end, we're going to end this evening with Brother Ray, one of our poets here at RPT, would share a poem with us as we come to a close. And so thank you everyone for just being absolutely amazing and making this program just the best program to be at, and continuing to demonstrate that when you are at RPT, you are in the right place, the place of grace and the place where we are up to the pace and we are actually ensuring that we are making it to the kingdom, not just limping there, but happily on our way there. Ray, are you ready for us as we close?
I'm ready. And also the men on RPT have good taste. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ray.
So, this one says,
we're not seeing you. I'm not so sure if you know we're not seeing you.
I know you're not seeing me because I'm in my document. It says, I choose you. I choose you during a time when choices aren't being made. I choose you when no one can travel and everyone is afraid. I choose you to share my dreams and future plans. I choose you, even though I don't know if you have a man. I choose you. You're always on my mind, even though you're out of sight. I choose you to wrap my words around you and keep you warm at night. I choose you because you share the details of the sunshine and the rain.
I choose you because you let me know when you're happy or in pain. I choose you as the flower in the center of my bouquet. I choose you as the fragrance to linger with all day. I choose you, okay. I choose you if I could choose you to watch the sunset one day in my bay at Rick's Cafe. I choose you without hesitation. I choose you again without delay. You are the best choice of my choosing. What else can I say? I choose you, hoping that not far from now you will choose me as your ray of sunshine. And if you ask me to choose again, I would tell them in Francais, I choose you as a food for thought, my dear, but for the thirst, what would I drink? Your perpetuous smile would supply my fountain of love. And that's what I choose to think. 11/18/2020. I choose you. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Ray. Beautiful,
Thank you.
amazing. Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Yvette, absolutely.
It was a pleasure coming on. Thank you, Pastor Wright, for inviting me to come back. I thought that coming back to back would be too much for, like, maybe you guys would not want to see me back again so soon. And then he was not even the one that I worked with, but Matthew, we had just a wonderful time. Matthew and I found out that we were going to be together maybe 30 minutes before we actually came together, but God is so good. I give him all the praise. If this was beneficial to you, we give our Heavenly Father the praise. I was the one that invited Dan on, and Dan really, I think, went out of his comfort zone to share and be there and to privately say that this was really good for him. I want to remind him that on this very same platform tomorrow, there is a grief session or grief
support, yeah.
Support group.
Grief
Yes,
support, yes.
yes, grief support group. And excellent facilitator who does that, Dr. Kelly. So you're welcome to come back again. You're welcome to come in anytime. And yes, this has been 3 solid hours that have passed by like that. And
Yes, it has.
I appreciate the interaction, because that's what we wanted, right, Matthew? We did not want to be listened in, and you're great listeners, great observers, and many of you have also chosen to chat with us. There's been a lot of chatting going on, and I've been watching and looking and listening. So I can just say have a great week that's coming up, and I wish for everyone love and peace. We were talking about intimate relationships, but there are so many different kinds of relationships, I think, and I know, that can fill our lives with so much joy. And, as Dan spoke earlier about rejection, I want to say that a lot of times when something doesn't work out with myself, especially if I'm online, a lot of times as we part ways, it could even be a parting in a space. Ladies, well, if that's not what God's purpose was for that person, it might have been for a spiritual awakening or showing someone something. And that has happened to me before, where the relationship didn't work. And I think I mentioned it before, but he is still in church to this day up in Colombia. So it's lies, but this was really beautiful. And again, thank you so very much for having me.
Thank you so very much.
Brother Julian, could you ask Yvette to share about her upcoming event in our upcoming retreat about writers?